Hey everyone, and welcome to Slowpoke Racing and to the Ultimate Racing League, sponsored by Eldridge Air Conditioning. Sorry about the slight delay there in starting. I was just checking to see if I am actually broadcasting live. Things have been glitching around here a little bit just lately, so just had to check that. But I think we are. I hope we are anyway. Yeah. Wednesday, GT3. There we go. I'm back. This is, Ultimate Racing League Wednesday GT3 Championship. Sorry about all this. I'm all over the place. This is the final round. It has been a fantastic season, actually, and loved every minute of it. And it's a shame it's got to come to an end, but like all great things, it does. So just before we crack on with the race, and as you can see, we are over in Germany at the Nürburgring on the 24-hour layout as well. The massive track. So before we get into all of that, let's just have a look at the league standings going into this race. So after 9 rounds, 18 races so far, we have Neil Farmack leading the table on 258 points. And, well, it looks like the championship's pretty much his, really. Nearest to him is Unforgiven in second. He's had a storming second part of the race. Made his way up through the field into the top 3. So Unforgiven sitting there in second. He's on 231 points. So 27 points behind Neil Farmack. So don't think Neil's going to get caught. Grasshopper sitting in third on 196 points. Stormfly just a point behind him on 195 points. And Wadru on 175 points. Now Wadru has not taken part in the last 2 or 3 races, so not quite sure what's happened to him, but that's why he's slipping down the league. So Neil Farmack, well, he's had a great season, hasn't he? Been very steady. So well done to him if he does take it. I'm pretty sure he will. But well done to Unforgiven and Grasshopper as well up there in the up on the podium. So a sip of champagne for those guys as well. So anyway, onwards and upwards with this final race around. It is only one race. We're not going to do a couple around here. It just takes way too long. And as you can see in the top left, we've got 6 laps. 6 laps around the Nürburgring, the 24-hour layout in Germany. Built in the 1920s. A fantastic track. Now then, corner-wise, about 154 to 170 corners on this track, depending on which track guide you look at. But even if you go at 154, it's still a lot of turns. It includes the famous carousel, which is a 210 degree banked corner. And there's 2 carousels actually. The other one is just slightly smaller. And it's actually made up of 2 tracks. You've got the Nordschleife and you've got the other one, the Nürburgring. I can't think what it's called now. It's gone completely out of my head. But anyway, a little bit about the track. So let's just crack on, shall we, and see where everybody is after. I think it's championship. Now they've not done any qualifying because it'll just take up too much fuel, too much time, etc. I think it is where they are in the championship. So let's have a look, shall we? So this will give you the rest of the league table as well. So as we've already said, Neil Farmack is sitting pretty at the top at the minute. So he takes pole position. Unforgiven is in second. Grasshopper is third. Stormfly is in fourth in that familiar McLaren, so keep an eye on him making his way through the grid. Then in fifth we've got Method, had a good season, especially the second part of it, so Unforgiven deservedly gets himself up there in fifth. Then we've got Bennett in sixth, Brian Moncani in seventh, Willard is eighth, Nath is ninth, Sy 10th, Carlsberg 11th. RJS Racing, that's a new name to me. Whether he has raced with us before, he's just changed his name, but RJ, we'll just call him RJ, shall we? So new one on me, maybe just a guest appearance for today. And then we've got Vane in 13th. So 13 on the grid, it's not a bad turnout, is it, for the final race? You can see it's a grid start, so let's just crack on with it, shall we? Long old track, this one. It's about, 16 miles long, I think, something like that. They start on the GP circuit as Neil takes us down towards turn 1. I'm not even going to bother trying to remember half of the names for this track. 154, 270 corners. You're never going to remember that lot, are you? So Neil Farmack just leads the way then in that Subaru. Then we've got Grasshopper. He's already made his way up into second. Just behind him, Unforgiven sitting there in third. Stormfly in fourth, Brian Moncani fifth. Then we've got Nath, Willard, excuse me, RJ. He's had a good start, hasn't he? RJ all the way up into ninth already. Then we've got Colesberg, Method, Bennett and Vane down in 13th. So nice little train going on at the minute as we come to nearing the end of the GP circuit. The guys will be turning left just about where the chicane is, I believe it is. Instead of carrying on up into the chicane, you turn left and you that's it, you wander off into the countryside. So Neil Farmack looking pretty at the minute then, Grasshopper. It is all about getting your nose in front before you get James saying hi to you, James. Thanks for watching, joining me at this strange hour. I don't normally do them at this time of the day, but thanks for joining. Stormfly in fourth. So here we go then. This is where we start to turn left as Neil Farmack will lead us out into the countryside. And as I was just saying, it is a case of getting your nose in front before you get onto this part of the track. It is very, very difficult to overtake on this track. It is a fantastic track, but it is an absolute nightmare to master. And anybody that has mastered it, well, hats off to you, because I certainly can't. I do enjoy this track, but too much grass for my liking. I end up on most of it. As we follow the guys through, you can see Side's already picked up half a second. Oh, James is part of the TSR. Ah, right, okay. Well, it's good to have you with us, my friend. It is good to have you with us. Get yourself over in URL. Oh, sorry, just adjusting my seat there. So side with half a second there. Fantastic looking car. I do like the look of that BMW, and a great shot there as well. Very brave cameraman on this very fast part of the track. So let's just start at the top, shall we? So Neil Farmack still out in front, Grasshopper in second with Unforgiven. No real change at the top then, with Stormfly and Brian Moncani just behind him. Then a bit of a gap then back to Nath in sixth. He's got Sai all over him. Let's jump on board with Sai, shall we, through this early part of the track as he tries to chase Nath down. Look behind us, and there's quite a big gap then back to Willard. So the gaps are already opening. James saying nice to meet you. Well, nice to meet you, sir. Oh, as Nath gets it. Oh, he's all over the place. Let's have a quick look now. We're not going to keep going back and looking at too many incidents, because we will be here for a long time, but we'll just follow Nath through this section. You can see downhill, very quick search, and trying to keep a tab on those curbs. Just touch the curbs, you don't want to go too mad, and I think he just carried too much speed into that right-hander onto the grass, and well, there's just no coming back from that. So he tried to hold it. In fact, he did a good job of actually landing in the middle of the track again. So well done to Nate. That could have been a lot worse, but cost him a spot. It's just the fact that there is a bit of a gap then back to Method that has enabled Nate to stay in seventh. So down into eighth. Method is a little bit closer now after that spill from Nate. So Method in the Lexus gives him something to focus on. A quick look behind him and you can see we've got Bennett in that Peugeot. He does like that Peugeot, doesn't he, Bennett? It's turned out to be a great little car, actually. Wrapped up a couple of wins, I believe. Has been, or at least he's been on the podium anyway this season, so I think he's enjoyed himself. So I'm still carrying that half a second. I think he's got quite a long way to go before he has to serve that, and half a second is nothing on this track. Willard in 10th in the familiar BMW. Quite a lot of BMWs out there. Vane in 13th, in 11th. Sorry, what are we looking at then? Vane in 11th, Colesberg 12th, and RJ in 13th in the Subaru. They're quite a handful by all accounts, these Subarus. Neil Farmack seems to make it look very easy, but I've not raced in that myself, but I've been told that you're supposed to select a higher gear coming out of the corners than you normally would, as the back end does like to get in front of the front. But that's RJ down in 13th. As I say, still a lot of racing to be had and quite a battle opening up here as Neil Farmack starts to open up a bit of a gap. Stormfly's managed to get himself up into second, so apologies we missed that. But Stormfly now up into second with Grasshopper in third, Unforgiven in fourth. And that's my phone bleeping and going nuts. There we go. Let's silence that. So Unforgiven, we'll jump on board with him. We were on board earlier, weren't we, with I think it was Cy, but then Nath came off, so we didn't see much racing. So a quick look behind us again. Brian Moncani just dropping off the pace a little bit, so he needs to pick it up into this carousel that we were talking about earlier. 210-degree banked turn, big left-hander there. You got to be careful on the exit, but these guys made it look very easy, didn't they? Unforgiven trying to stay onto the back of that NSX of Grasshoppers. We can just about make out Neil Farmack and Stormfly just up ahead, but Unforgiven just quite happy to put the pressure on Grasshopper at the minute and try and force a mistake from him. You can see how wide that track isn't, so overtaking is very, very difficult. A quick look behind, and Brian McCartney has picked up the pace and has got onto the back of Unforgiven. Unforgiven just being held up a little bit by Grasshopper, I think. Unforgiven may just be slightly quicker, but Grasshopper, it looks like he's opening up a bit of a gap back to Unforgiven, so maybe Grasshopper has now found his mojo, but it is still Neil Farmack leading from Stormfly in that McLaren. Grasshopper in third, Unforgiven in fourth, and Brian Moncani really has stepped it up a gear, hasn't he, and he's got right onto the back of Unforgiven, and he's starting to put the pressure on him. So Unforgiven, that's probably why Grasshopper started to get away, because Unforgiven has got one eye on the mirror and concentrating on keeping Brian Moncani behind him. And as I say, that's not difficult to do on a track that's very narrow. You can understand why, if you look at these YouTube videos, all them guys do crash. It is not the widest of tracks, and it looks like the kids have been out there with the crayons, doesn't it, on that part of the track. Probably was kids. Very brave actually, with some of these cars going around. A bit further down then, Cy still got that half a second. I think that's the one he picked up right at the very beginning. As I say, it's a long way to go. You've got to get onto the straight, I think, the back straight, before you hit the penalty zone. So these guys down in sixth. Nath just behind him in seventh after his spill. He's managed to catch back up to the back of Cy, and will probably take P6 away from him as well when Cy serves that penalty. Method also, he's managed to get himself right up to the back of Nathan. He's having a good old look around, isn't he, old Method? He wants that P7 away from Nath. And now they're onto the straight. It is all about the slipstream, and you are a sitting duck really. There is nowhere to hide. The slips, you can see how fast they went by. Well, that's no, sorry, he's Cy's just served his penalty, has he? That's how quickly they went by. But look at this two-way battle between Method and Nath. It is the Lexus power against BMW power, and Method has just got his nose in front. I think he was helped with a little bit of... Oh, it's Nath. Nath was going to go around the outside, and Method just slammed the door shut on him, so Nath pulls back onto the inside. But now they've come to the end of the straight and towards the end of lap one. And it is Method who has moved up into P6, Nathan 7th, and Cy having served that penalty down into 8th, but right underneath the rear wing of Cy. Maybe can have a look before they get to turn one, or is he just going to sit there? No, he is having a bit of a look up the inside, but no, nothing doing there, so he just backs out as he turns turn one. Then you immediately got to throw yourself into this left-hander. Very easy to spin out there, but these guys around there okay. We'll just drop down a little bit. Bennett in P9. He's it looks like he's on his own actually. Not a lot happening for Bennett. Oh no, he has. He's got Carlsberg just behind him. So Carlsberg's starting to put the pressure on T. Bennett, and this is what we want to see. A bit of racing. We don't like guys just driving around on their own. We want to be having a battle, no matter where they are on track, what position they're in, as long as they've got a bit of a fight to have. Levain in 11th, he's got RJ caught up to the back of him in 12th, and Willard, Willard must have had a big old issue, because he's now down in 13th and playing catch up. He's got a lot of work ahead of him if he wants to catch up to the rest of the pack. So back up to the top. Oh, we missed it again. I'm going to go back. In fact, well, I've got to go back a long way. I'm not going to go back that far, sorry. So yeah, sorry we missed it, but Stormfly is now the new leader of this race, and I can only guess that he actually made that pass on the straight. So Stormfly now leading from Neil Farmack. Unforgiven has made his way up into third, Grasshopper in fourth, Brian Moncani is fifth. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I thought there was somebody missing there, but no, there's not. So Stormfly, Neil Farmack, Unforgiven, Grasshopper, Brian Moncani. That is your top five at the minute. Method in sixth. He's managed to shake off Nath and Sai, get himself a little bit of a breathing space as he now turns left and out into the countryside goes Method. Nath not that far behind, but there is a gap there, enough to not worry Method too much at the minute, and I think that gap is getting slightly bigger as well. Nath doing likewise, he's trying to open up a gap back to Sai. Then we've got Bennett in ninth. Where is he? There he is, still with Carlsberg chasing him down in that green 7-Up BMW. Vane in 11th, RJ in 12th, and Willard, as we've said, down in 13th. So back up to the top. We don't want to miss too much action, do we, up at the top? But I think Stormfly is now starting to pull away from Neil Farmack. Neil Farmack leading this championship at the minute. I don't think even if Stormfly finishes where he's finishing, he's only on 195 points, Neil Farmack on 258, so I still don't think Stormfly is going to beat Neil Farmack. He will overtake Grasshopper, obviously, and I think the best that Stormfly is going to hope for is to finish third in the championship, just behind Neil Farmack and Unforgiven. If Neil Farmack can stay in second, Unforgiven can stay in the top five, I think he will finish in second, but he's Brian Moncani's managed to get by Unforgiven. Again, probably on the straight, and once you're on the straight, then you really are a sitting duck. So should we jump on board with Unforgiven as we go into the double left-hander, and right up the chuff of Brian Moncani there in that AMG. Oh, and Brian Moncani makes that pass very easy for Unforgiven. Brian just going too wide and getting himself on the green stuff, and Unforgiven just says, well, thank you very much, I'll have that, and moves up into P4 again. So Brian now got a lot of work ahead of him again. He's done it once though, so he can do it again. Now then, Unforgiven starts the attack on Grasshopper once again. He was all over him in the first lap, wasn't he, right at the very beginning. Then Grasshopper managed to slip away from him. I'm not sure what happened, maybe a mistake from Unforgiven allowed Brian in, but we are back to where we were before with Unforgiven chasing Grasshopper. A quick look behind us and Brian, that gap is there. Oh, look at what an exit Unforgiven got there. I'm not sure if Grasshopper had a bit of an issue or not, but Unforgiven got a fantastic exit out of that turn to slingshot him past Grasshopper and moves up into P3, and now it is up to Grasshopper to do the fighting and try and get that position back. What a great move from Unforgiven. Grasshopper has just got to stay with him, get as close as he can, get into the slipstream, so when they do get on the straight, which is well, you've only really got the back straight, haven't you? There's the best place to overtake, but Grasshopper is going to keep pushing, maybe try and force an error from Unforgiven. We'll stay with these two just for a few more turns as Grasshopper practically pushing Unforgiven along. He is having a proper good sniff around the smelly end of that BMW. That NSX is pretty quick, isn't it? I think the BMW may have the edge in a straight line, but the NSX is certainly pretty nimble through the turns. Into the carousel they go. Grasshopper taking a very high line there. I think he may have got that slightly wrong actually. I don't think he meant to go that high. As he chases Unforgiven, it is still Stormfly out in front, Neil Farmack in second. Then we're watching this little battle with Unforgiven and Grasshopper fighting it out for P3. Brian Moncani sitting in fifth, desperately trying to catch up to the back of those two after a slight mistake from him, put him on the grass, allowed Unforgiven through, and Unforgiven then made his way past Grasshopper as well. So Brian Marcani trying desperately to catch up. Method in 6 in the Lexus, and well, he's all on his own at the minute. We can't really get a gauge of their lap times either, because they've only done one lap so far. It feels like we've been racing all night, doesn't it? But there's Method in 6, and quite a gap then back to Sai in 7th. Everybody's spreading out. This is the only trouble with this track. Everybody spreads out, and it just becomes a little battle against yourself. Then you can just see in the background Nath then coming through in P8. He's managed to shake off the attention from Carlsberg in P9 currently. Keep trying to have a quick look in the background to see when the next car comes along, and no, he's not there. So Vane down in 10th. Ooh, held on to that well, didn't he? I thought he'd lost the back end. Oh, and then he makes up for it and going off the track there. He's just pushing too hard, I think, Vane. He's just pushing too hard, trying to catch up to Carlsberg, and all sorts of mistakes being made in that Subaru. That's allowed RJ to get a lot closer. Also in the Subaru, I think, is it the BRZ or something like that? There's RJ really pushing now. Then we've got Bennett in the Peugeot in 12th, so we could have a little battle going on with these three guys here. If we just try and see ahead of Bennett, I think he can just about see RJ. Yeah, there we go. So RJ in front of him, not that far away, with Vane in front of him. So we could have a little battle there. And then poor old Willard down in 13th, and I don't think he's that far away actually off the back of them. So if he just stays steady and stays on the tarmac, then Willard could end up catching up to these guys. Out in front though, they've just finished the just come off of the long straight, and Stormfly is still out in front. Neil Farback in 2nd. Unforgiven has made his way up into 3rd, so he passed Grasshopper on the straight within the slipstream. Right, should we try and have a look back? Oh, well, maybe it was before then. It went backwards and forwards, we'll be here all night. So sorry about that. It's just too long a track to keep going backwards and forwards. I thought he might have done it on the straight, but he didn't. So Grasshopper down in 4th, Unforgiven in 3rd, Brian Marcani 5th, Method is 6th. Really is on his own, isn't he? Sai in 7th. So Sai did catch up to Nath and managed to get past him. So Nath down into 8th then. We're really struggling to see the action here. We have to keep flicking from one car to the next just to see something. And 1 minute Sai is behind Nath, the next minute it's the other way around. But Nath coming back at Sai then. Sai in 8th, Sai in 7th, with Nath chasing him down. Shall we jump on board with Sai, shall we? And then we can see his point of view. Quick look behind us, and that's what we're looking at. The BMW with the Napa livery all over it of Nathan. If we look even further behind, we can just about make out Carlsberg, who is a long way off. If you look at the map in the top right, they don't look that far away from each other, but yeah, they are. And we'll go back up to the top, because we don't want to miss anything else, do we, that's happening up at the top. So it is Stormfly from Neil Farmack. Now then, if it stays like this, Neil Farmack will have the championship wrapped up. Unforgiven sitting in 3rd. He will finish in 2nd position in the table, and Grasshopper will finish just behind him. But at the minute, Grasshopper pushing hard, although even if they stay as they are now, I'm pretty convinced that it's going to be Neil Farmack, Unforgiven and Grasshopper will be your top 3 on the league table. Grasshopper will need to win this race and Unforgiven not finish at all. In fact, even if he doesn't finish, because he started, he will pick up enough points, and I don't think it's going to be enough for Grasshopper. So it will be Neil Farmack, it will be Unforgiven, and then it will be Grasshopper in 3rd. unless... No, Grasshopper's going to drop down. It will be Stormfly who will finish in third if it stays like this, because Stormfly is actually leading this race, and Stormfly is only 1 point behind Grasshopper. So I'm just checking the tables as I'm trying to talk. So yeah, it will be Neil Farmack, Unforgiven and Stormfly if Stormfly can stay in the top 5. He's got to finish in front of Grasshopper. As long as he finishes in front of Grasshopper, then Stormfly will be third in the league table. Where is Brian Moncani? Brian Moncani down in 5th and dropped off the pace a little bit. We are on lap 3 of 6 of this enormous track in Germany. 16 miles long, about 16 miles long, and anywhere between 154 and 170 corners, depending on where you actually look, or which guide you look at. It's a fantastic shot of Brian Moncani's AMG, isn't it? Some work gone into the livery on that thing. That's the point. Should we have a look at some of these cars, shall we? Let's have a look at Stormfly's. Got the, is it the Marlborough? It looks like it, yeah, it's the Marlborough livery, but he's changed everything to Stormfly instead of Marlborough. Very neat looking car, very well done there for Stormfly. Neil Farmack in the, I think it's the BRZ, I'm pretty sure it's the BRZ. A very nice looking car as well. So Helix or something all over, I'm not quite sure on the livery for that one, but good looking car. Unforgiven in a car of his own design. Sorry about the camera flicking around, it's the fact that they're going around these corners, but it's a great looking car that Unforgiven's come up with there. I'm sure that's all his own design. Who doesn't like a bit of green and black? Then we've got Unforgiven in the NSX. I don't think he did that himself, but if he did, fantastic bit of work in there. Anybody that does any liveries will know how difficult it is to get some of these designs on these cars, so that's a good design involved in there on Grasshopper's car. And we've got Brian Moncani. Well, we've seen that, haven't we? Some very colourful AMG going on there, but good stuff from Brian Moncani. Method, again, a fantastic livery. There is some work involved in that Lexus there of Method's car. Some brilliant work. So we'll have a look at a couple of others. We're just going to go up and have a look and see what's happening with... Oh dear me, we caught that just at the right time, didn't we? Poor old Grasshopper chasing hard, chasing Unforgiven really hard at the bottom of this straight, and he just got himself all squirrely onto the grass. Well, managed to get back on, but I think dirty tyres really going to contribute here at this right hander, trying to get that car slowed down. And the back end, around it comes, and bang, big old kiss with barrier, damage at the front. Oh, Brian Moncani goes through as poor old Grasshopper is actually, well, it looks like a giant magnet sucking that car in against it, isn't it? Method goes through. Oh, Grasshopper wasted way too many seconds trying to get the car back on track. He's got that damage at the front. You can see he's very, very tentative around the carousel. He is back up and running. He's got to wait for the damage to repair itself. There we go. The nanobots have sorted him out, and he is back up and racing. But wow, he has lost some time, hasn't he? Unforgiven will be sighing a big sigh of relief there, because Grasshopper was pushing him and pushing him hard. But now that threat's gone away, he can concentrate on the car in front of him, which is Neil Farmack. So out in front, Stormfly, not that far actually. Neil Farmack in second, Unforgiven is in third. I have got a feeling there is going to be no overtaking done on the straight between these three. Neil Farmack, I think he's just too far away. And likewise for Unforgiven, they may get a little bit closer to each other, but I doubt they're going to get the overtake. Just having a look at the tyres as well. They are on the soft tyres, and they are starting to wear. Be interested to see if there's any pit stops involved in this race. Brian Mulcahy now off into fourth, having taken advantage of Grasshopper's mistake. Let's have a look at the fuel. Is there enough fuel to get to the end of the race? There may be a pit stop involved in this race then. They're all under half a tank of fuel, and we are on, well, we're not even at the end of lap 3 yet, are we? So I think they may have to make a pit stop. Method in fifth. He's looked after his fuel, so he has got over half a tank, so he's doing okay at the minute, fuel-wise. Tyres are looking pretty much the same as everybody else's as he goes through the second of the carousels. Then we've got Grasshopper down in sixth. Oh, he's picked up more damage. It's just gone from bad to worse for Grasshopper. After that big old kiss with Barry Hart, it's very hard to get back into the swing of things, and you tend to start pushing just that little bit harder, and then even more mistakes are made. But he's now on to the straight and staring at the back of Method. Is he going to get close enough? I'm not so sure. Oh, I think there's too big a gap there, and it's the same for the guys up at the top. Yeah, Stormfly. Oh, Stormfly is into the pit. So we were just talking about pit stops. Neil Farmack is in. Unforgiven, top three are all in. So yeah, there is a pit stop involved in this race then. So will Brian come in? The top three are in. Yeah, Brian stays to the right of the cones. He is in. Method, is he going to come in as well? Maybe it is. Everybody coming in at the end of lap 3. Yeah, there we go. They are all coming in. So fuel going into the cars then. So they will all come back out in the same positions they went in then. So that's Sai in 7th. So Stormfly's back out, leading this race. Unforgiven in 2nd. Neil Farmack just behind Unforgiven. Well, actually Unforgiven and Neil Farmack have swapped over, so Unforgiven maybe didn't put as much fuel in as Neil Farmack, and has got the jump on him in the pit. So Unforgiven now up into P2 in this race. Can he hold on to it? Neil Farmack out on track in 3rd, all still on the soft tyres, so maybe the rule of tyres has just been scrapped for this race. And Neil Farmack then chasing Unforgiven down. We will try and keep an eye on that. I do like to have a look at some of the other cars, but we will try and keep an eye on that. Brian Mulcahy in 4th, with Method just behind him in 5th, and Method really pushing Brian Mulcahy along now, so we could have a little battle on our hands here. I'm just trying to keep an eye on that Neil Farmack Unforgiven situation as well, to see whether Neil Farmack is getting close, and he is getting a lot closer to Unforgiven. So we will try and keep an eye on that, see if there's any overtakes. Brian Mulcahy and Method are having their own little battle there for P4, as Method tries desperately to get onto the back of that AMG of Brian's. Grasshopper has come back out in 6th, just ahead of Carlsberg in 7th. Nath is out in 8th. Then we've got Sai, Vane in 10th, Willard 11th, Bennett 12th, and RJ just still sitting in the pits now down in 13th. Stormfly though, well, he's off and running and gone, and no catching him. Unforgiven though is starting to keep his eye on the mirrors, because if we go on board with Unforgiven and a quick look behind us, and that's what he can see, and you really don't want the likes of Neil Farmack chasing you. It is only going to be a matter of time before he is sniffing around your rear end. So Unforgiven just needs to concentrate on keeping the car on the grey stuff and just doing his own thing really. Like I said before, it's a very tight track, very difficult to overtake. So Unforgiven just needs to make that BM as wide as he possibly can until they go onto the straight, if he can actually open up a bit of a gap and get out of the slipstream before they get to the straight, and that's what he'll be thinking about. He doesn't want to let Neil Farmack get too close, because he just will be a sitting duck on that straight. So Unforgiven, full concentration on keeping the car on the grey stuff, but I do think that Neil Farmack is getting closer. So we would definitely keep an eye on these. Just Brian, we'll have a look at Brian Moncani and Method. Brian Moncani, I think, has started to pull away a little bit from Method. Not by much. And we do see that we've seen before that mistakes happen. So Brian Moncani, again, he's got to concentrate on just staying on the tarmac and let Method make the mistakes as he tries to catch up to the back of Brian. Just have a look and see what's happening with Unforgiven and Neil Farmack, because I think this is where the battle's going to be raging in a minute as Neil Farmack gets ever closer to Unforgiven. And he's going to be putting the pressure on now then. The thing is Neil Farmack going to try and look for a gap and make the pass, or is he just going to sit behind Unforgiven, save a bit of fuel, stay in the slipstream until they get onto that straight, when he can make the move quite easily? I think he'll just stay there. I think he'll try and force a mistake out of oh, we missed it, didn't we? I knew we would. Let's just go back. So Method was in 5. I was trying to catch the overtakes, and that's why I was keeping an eye on Unforgiven and Neil Farmack. But in the meantime, Method, oh, and it's Brian. And I've just been saying, didn't I, about mistakes happen. Brian's just got to keep it on the tarmac, but he didn't. There we go, onto the grass, and around he goes, sideswipe old barrier. Method says thank you very much as he goes by. Oh, look at the smoke on them tyres as Brian tries to get that AMG back up and running again. That'll certainly clean them. So Brian now down into 5th, Method up into 4th, so he's having a great race, his Method. We'll just keep an eye on what's going on up here. This is what I was trying to say. This is where I thought the action was going to be, as Neil Farmack tries to chase down Unforgiven. Stormfly is just long gone, and yeah, I don't think they're going to catch him. Although Unforgiven is in the background, I think it's going to be a big ask for him to catch him. Stormfly's got to make a mistake for Unforgiven and Neil Farmack to catch up to him. But as we've seen, it can happen. It happened to Brian. Hopefully I haven't cursed him now. Unforgiven still in 2nd, just holding off Neil Farmack. Method has moved up into 4th after Brian's off. Brian desperately trying to catch up and get himself back up into that top 4. Grasshopper down in 6th after his issues earlier on the last lap, and struggling to get back into this race now. Carlsberg in 7th, not that far behind Grasshopper, so ooh, looked like he was struggling to get that car slowed down then. Nathan 8th, and well, he's having a bit of fun with Cy, so it is the 2 BMWs battling it out for P8 at the minute. Nath holding on to that position with Cy in 9th. Let's just jump on board, shall we, with Cy as we try and catch up to the back of Nath, and maybe a little bit of slipstreaming through this section. Very, very quick section of the track. Again, I'm just trying to keep my eye on that top left. I don't want to see any positional changes between Unforgiven and Neil Farmack as we see Cy try and chasing Nate down. Full throttle through this section, then you're going to have to start easing off and thinking about slamming them brakes on as you hit this right-hander. We saw Brian Moncani come unstuck just here earlier on, and then it is a short sprint then towards the entrance of the carousel. This long left-hander, this embanked section, and you've got to be careful of the exit, but nicely out goes Cy, chasing down Nath. Then we've got Vane in 10th, Willard in 11th, Bennett in 12th, and RJ lower, long way back for RJ. Up at the top, Stormfly still out in front. The battle still raging on for P2 with Unforgiven and Neil Farmack. Neil Farmack is now going to be thinking about making that move. He's going to stay within touching distance of Unforgiven so that when they get onto the straight, he can use the slipstream and he can just breeze on past, but he doesn't want to pass too early. That's the key to this slipstreaming on this track. You do not want to pass as soon as you get onto the straight, because all you're doing is just handing the slipstream straight back to your opponent. and the other driver. So Neil Farmack, if he plays this right as they go through the sector of the carousels, he will just sit behind Unforgiven, not get too close early on, make that move probably halfway down the track so that Unforgiven cannot come back at him. That's the way to play it. Now then, whether Neil Farmack actually plays it that way is a completely different story. So should we jump on board with Neil Farmack then? As we're on the straight, fastest part of the track, let's have a look at them speeds, shall we? About 164, 165 miles an hour, 166, and climbing as he gets into the slipstream. Now it is where he starts to want to be pulled in, but has the BMW got too many beans under the bonnet? Because it doesn't look like Neil Farmack is pulling Unforgiven in as quickly as he would like, and I think it is. The BMW is just too much power for him. So well held on for Unforgiven into P2. Let's have a look and see what's happening with Methods. He's still in fourth with Brian Mulcahy chasing him down. They are coming towards the end of the straight as well, so no change between them two. Grasshopper still in sixth, Carlsberg in seventh, Sai in eighth, Nath in ninth. Now then, is Nath going to get the drop on Sai? He's definitely in the slipstream now. It is BMW against BMW, so evenly matched for power. You can just see Carlsberg there in the foreground. Is Nath going to find a way by? They are coming towards the end of this straight, and you can see Sai. Ooh, now then, a bit of double weaving was that? I don't know. One for the stewards to have a look at, shall we say? I think Nath is probably cursing and shaking his fist in that cockpit there. I thought he was going to make the move. Oh, as Carlsberg must have made a mistake, or he's coming into the pits. He is. Carlsberg is coming into the pits again. Why is that? Maybe fuel issue for Carlsberg. Maybe he didn't fill up properly. Vane, he's got to come into the pits. Well, let's just have a look and see what's happening up at the top, shall we? Oh, well, all these guys are okay for fuel, so it may be that the other guys didn't pit last time out. I'm not sure. I didn't see what gone on there, but the guys at the back have all got to come in for fuel. Bennett with just under a quarter of a tank, so he's going to have to come in. You can see Willard is in, Vane is in. Carlsberg should be alright, he's got half a tank left. So yeah, maybe these guys didn't pit last time out. We didn't notice, did we? We were too busy looking to see what was going on up at the top, because everybody keeps changing places. At the minute though, it is still Unforgiven in second, just ahead of Neil Farmack. Now, I've said it before, if it stays like this with these three finishing as they are, I'm pretty convinced that the championship will look like Neil Farmack sitting at the top, Unforgiven in second, and Stormfly will go up into the top three. He will leapfrog Grasshopper. He is only a point behind him at the minute, and poor old Grasshopper down in P6 at the minute. Too many mistakes from him as we're following Neil Farmack on the chase after Unforgiven, and unfortunately the Subaru just can't quite compete with the BMW in a straight line, even with the help of a bit of slipstream in it. It surprised me actually. I thought Neil might have actually got by, but the BMW just proved too strong for it. So Neil's got to come up with something else. So he's going to have to get by doing the twisty bits and try and open up a gap so that Unforgiven cannot fight back on the straight. And Neil's certainly close enough. Try and force a mistake from Unforgiven. Method still sitting in fourth now. Then Brian Mulcahy has caught him back up again, so Brian Mulcahy back in the fight after his mistake, which cost him a place or two. So is Brian going to have a look and see if he can get by Method during the twisty bits, or is he going to wait until they get onto the straight? He's certainly got the power under his right foot within that AMG, but if he can find a way by Method before they get to the straight, then he definitely will. And Brian Mulcahy having a good section. You can see there he got clocked up a purple sector, so So I'm just having a look at the top left. It is still Unforgiven in second with Neil Farmack third. Then we've got these two battling it out for P4, and Brian Mulcahy getting ever closer to the back of Method. Shall we jump on board with Brian? Yes, come on, let's get on board and annoy Brian for a bit. Again, Brian's concentration, I'm sure, is just going to try and keep it on the tarmac, try and force the mistake from Method. Brian's had his fair share of mistakes and trips across the grass, so he doesn't want any more. He's just got to keep calm, keep doing what he's doing now, and let Method make the mistake. If he can stay where he is, I think he will be in the slipstream. So if all else fails, if he can't get by before they get onto the straight, he should be able to make the move on Method when they get onto that long back straight. A quick look behind us and we can see there is nobody for well, quite a while actually. The nearest to him is Grasshopper down in 6th, but he's nowhere to be seen. So Brian Mulcahy just trying to stay with Method. Keeps clocking up those purple sectors, doesn't he? So he's definitely on a push. Nowhere to pass really through this section of the track unless Method moves over, but at the minute he's making that Lexus as wide as he possibly can. You can see Brian Mulcahy getting very close. Oh, now then, this could have gone wrong for him then. Maybe needed to just ease off a little bit before they before he reached that point. He is just trying to put the pressure on Method, but Method really not bothering at the minute. He's not biting, is he? So Brian, I think this is where he needs to be. Through the carousel then, and back out the other side, and not far now to go before they hit the straight. So we'll get out of Brian's car and we'll have a look and see what's happening with Neil Farmack and Unforgiven. It is still Neil Farmack sitting there behind Unforgiven. Is he thinking about having another go on the straight? Didn't work for him last time, did he? Maybe he wasn't quite close enough. I thought that the BMW was just a little bit had too much power for the Subaru. We just got a glimpse of Stormfly up ahead then. So Stormfly is not actually running away with it like I thought he would. So maybe Stormfly has had a bit of an issue. I can't see any damage on his car. And looking very comfortable at the minute. He's out there enjoying himself, not under any pressure. Sometimes though, that's when the lack of concentration kicks in. Your mind starts to wander, and before you know it, you're out there on the grass and the back end has overtook the front. So Stormfly needs to concentrate, because Unforgiven and Neil Farmack are there ready to pounce if he does make a mistake. As they go through the second carousel then, only a couple more turns then before hitting that straight. Now then, is Neil Farmack going to get it done this time around? It is lap 5, so only one more to go. So here we go then, onto the straight. Now then, is Neil Farmack. He's definitely a lot closer than he was last time. What did he get, 156 or something like that? I can't remember now. Unforgiven, 165, 166. Neil Farmack, 170. So he is in the slipstream and it is helping. There you can see he's having a right good sniff around. Then he pulls out. Well, as soon as you pull out, you just hit a brick wall of air. And he looks like he's struggling. He is just about getting his nose in front, but it seemed a bit of a struggle for Neil, but he managed to get the job done before they hit the first turn at the end of that straight. So well done to Neil Farmack. He now moves up into second, Unforgiven in third. Not a lot Unforgiven could do about that pass. Unfortunately, when you are on that straight, you are a bit of a sitting duck. Method has managed to stay ahead of Brian Mulcahy in fifth. Well, I can only guess that Brian Mulcahy has had another issue, because he was a lot closer to Method. So yeah, Brian must have had another issue or something. He was pushing hard, wasn't he? And there's quite a gap opened up between the two of them. Grasshopper in 6. Can he see the back of Brian's car? I don't think he can actually. So it looks like it's going to be a P6 for Grasshopper. Nath coming to the end of the straight just ahead of Sai in 8th. Colesberg in 9th. It's been a bit of a lonely race for Colesberg, especially now. There is nobody in front of him, there is nobody behind him. Just like I was saying with Stormfly, it's very hard to keep your concentration when you're out there on your own, and your mind does start to wander about all sorts of things, and your concentration drops, and that's when the mistakes kick in, especially on a long race like this. RJ in 10th, well, he's having a fight with Willard, so we do have a bit of a battle taking place as Willard gets right up the back of RJ Subaru. Pulls to the inside and just gets his nose in front. So the BMW is just a little bit quicker than the BRZ, but RJ tries to slot in behind Willard again. He's trying to pick up that slipstream again so he can make another move, and he does. Side by side towards the end of the straight then. Well, this is going to be an interesting battle. Oh, and RJ just gets his nose in front and takes P10 as they come to the end of the straight then. Back onto the GP circuit to start their final lap, and it is RJ up into 10th with Willard in 11th. Fane down in 12th. And Bennett, well, he's had an issue, hasn't he, with pit stops, etc. Not a good race for Bennett. He'll be glad to see this one, see the back of this one. Down in 13th, back up at the top, and it's still Stormfly out in front and looking very comfortable. It is Neil Farmack in 2nd after that move on Unforgiven down the straight. But no gap forming. Unforgiven is staying with Neil. Wants to make a fight of it, but even if Unforgiven was to finish in front of Neil, it's not going to be enough to actually topple him from the championship winning. Neil is going to be crowned, I think, championship winner. Let's have a look. Neil currently sitting on 258 points, Unforgiven with 231 points. And Stormfly with 195, so even with Stormfly winning, even if he got double points for a win, which is about 40 something, Unforgiven's still going to clock up enough points to keep Stormfly in 3rd. So that's pretty much the table as it's going to be. So all that's got to happen is these 3 guys have just got to finish in the top 3, and that's how it'll be. So a bit of a gap forming then between Neil and Unforgiven, but Unforgiven won't be too worried about that. I'm sure he's thinking he can make up that gap a little bit later on. Method still in 4th with Brian Moncani in 5th. I don't think Brian Moncani is going to get close enough to Method down unless Method makes a mistake. I think Brian unfortunately has made too many errors today. And I mean, he's still going to finish in 5th with his, which is very respectable. But I think he was just pushing too hard earlier on, and that's what caused him to make those couple of mistakes. Same with Grasshopper, who had a good fight with Unforgiven early on in this race. Made a mistake, and then it just seemed to be one after the next then. And he finds himself now down in 6th, and that's about the best he's going to get out of this race, unless something drastic happens to the cars in front. Nath down in 7th with Side chasing him. These two have had a bit of a battle, haven't they, throughout? So they would have enjoyed it, or at least parts of this race anyway. So Side still not content with P8. He wants 7th away from Nath, so he's going to carry on pushing. Needs to get a little bit closer though, so he can get into the slipstream on the back straight. Carlsberg down in 9th, and all on his lonesome, with RJ in 10th. and struggling a little bit. I'm not sure if it's the track or the car or a combination of the two. Vane in 11th. There's quite a few Subarus out there, considering they're supposed to be quite a tricky car to handle. There's what, 3? So Neil Farmack's in one, Vane is in one, RJ is in one. As we see Willard in 12th. Oof, looks very battered, doesn't it, the front of that BMW. The guy's back at the workshop. I'll have something to say to him when he brings it back. With Bennett in 13th. Never really got into this race, did he, in that Peugeot? Done well with it in previous rounds, but maybe it's just not the car for this kind of track. Oh, as he's off on the grass again, exploring. Not going to make any difference to his track position. Oh look, front headlights all smashed up. Some battle scars on there. Great shot though. So that's Bennett down in 13th, back up to the top, and Neil Farmack has actually caught up to the back of Stormfly. So Neil Farmack is looking at finishing this race with on a bit of a high. Actually, he has really caught up. He has got the fastest lap, an 8:14. What was Stormfly's? This was an 8:15. So just over a second. Oh, as Neil Farmack. Well, we're going to stay with this battle now because Neil Farmack is really pushing Stormfly as they go through the second of the carousels. There's only a few corners left before we get onto the straight. Unforgiven is in there as well. So top 3, well, top 4, 3 out of the top 4 in the league table are now fighting it out to see who's going to get on the highest step on the podium, and Neil Farmack is definitely in the slipstream of Stormfly, and it is starting to reel that McLaren in. A quick look behind us. Unforgiven, don't write him off yet. Once that slipstream kicks in for him, as Neil Farmack gets closer and closer to Stormfly and breezes on past, but now he's going to be giving the toe to Stormfly as he slots in behind. Unforgiven picking up a double slip as Stormfly now picks up. I'm going to come out of here. Stormfly picks up the slip as well. These 3 battling away to the very end. This is how the championship is going to be decided, is it? Stormfly just gets his nose in front. Oh, and he's gone off. Stormfly's gone off. He's hit the barrier, and Neil Farmack says, well, let's go back and have a look at this. Wow. What a spectacular finish. In fact, we'll follow Unforgiven because we can see exactly what's happening with all of them. It was touch and go all the way. They were fighting it. They were door bashing into the first turn off the end of the straight. There was a bit more door bashing. We thought Stormfly had got it and couldn't get that McLaren slowed down. Slams into barrier. Neil Farmack gives him a wave as he goes through to take the checkered flag. Unforgiven moves up into second. What a fantastic finish to this race. And poor old Stormfly, damage at the front. It's not, he's going to finish third, but having led for most of this race, wow, he comes home in third. What a brilliant finish. Method, he will come across the line in fourth. He's had a good round. He's had a good season, to be fair, and raced well. So Method across the line then in fourth. Grasshopper, well, he'll be disappointed. He's gone himself up into fifth, but he will be disappointed. Or is it going to be sixth as Brian Mulcahy makes a dash for it as they go side by side across the line? Well, we don't. It's got it down as Brian Mulcahy finishing fifth and Grasshopper sixth. That couldn't have been by much. End of the straight. Nath